in this episode of the Living God's Light podcast.
It's like my faith, my beliefs were transformed into absolute trust. And no matter what happens in life, and life is challenging, and it's beautiful, and it's blissful, and it's sorrowful, and it's all of it.
Did you have any after effects that, like new gifts that showed up for you?
You know, it's funny, people ask me that. I think I have a deeper capacity to love.
I am
living God's light.
Oh, so beautiful, so remarkable. We're going to take this next little bit for you and Vinny to share and compare, because that's one aspect we want to gift on our podcast is a dialogue between two experiencers.
Beautiful.
Well, Jeff, there's been many gifts, many trials with it. What do you think your favorite or most treasured gift of your experience?
Wow. What a question. I believe, I feel for me that it's like trust. It's like my faith, my beliefs were transformed into absolute trust. And no matter what happens in life, and life is challenging, and it's beautiful, and it's blissful, and it's sorrowful, and it's all of it. But I think the gift for me is to trust, and to trust in love, and to trust in myself, and to trust that we're in such great hands. We're okay. We're going to be okay. Yeah.
We are going to be okay. And that's the, I get asked that every day in the work that I do, or, are we going to be okay? And I go, we're okay. I'm okay. Are you okay? We're okay. It's like we were okay before we came to Earth. So, Earth is where we get to express the life force. Well, with that experience, did you have any after effects that, like new gifts that showed up for you?
You know, it's funny. People ask me that. I think I have a deeper capacity to love, a deeper capacity for empathy. I don't see the future. I'm not necessarily psychic. However, I think we all have those gifts. I think we all have those gifts when we open our hearts to them. But yeah, my gift might be just to love at a deeper capacity, and to, the challenge is loving ourselves, loving myself, It's easy for me to love my neighbor, but boy, do I really love myself.
Yeah. Loving outwardly is the easy part. The loving inwardly is the hard part. But what's amazing is if you can love inwardly, how much stronger the love outwardly gets.
Yeah.
It's so much stronger.
That is
well. So no telling the future in there. That's probably a good thing.
Yeah. No, I've talked to other near-death experiences, and they come back with gifts. You've got intense gifts, and you may have always had those, or you may come back with them. Yeah.
I've come to realize that some of them were there. They were just less developed, and then the experience just kind of overdeveloped them for a little bit.
Yeah.
One gift I know you have is the gift of healing. You do have that gift. You carry it on you. Everywhere you go, you change the frequency of the room and the people listening to you. So you were a big impact for me. I was like you. I had the hardest time sharing my story for a really long time. And I had some friends that they would kind of sneak it out of me here and there. Like they wouldn't just walk up and say, "Tell us about your near this." They'd say, "You died, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Tell us about it. Tell us about this. Tell us about that. And that was for a long time, for more than a decade. And I was like you. When I first came back, I would turn into a puddle of tears just every time I even think about it. And then it got to a point where I started to ache to have it, ache to get some injections of that light. And I was like, Spencer there, thinking that was some outside thing. And then I woke up one day and realized, wait, it's inside me. That's where this is all happening, and I need to find it within and ignite it and share it, you know. Um, I love in your story, in your experience, that you're one of the best PRs for heaven. You are.
Oh, wow.
You are, because people can be agnostic, they can be atheist, they can be any religion and listen to your experience, and they can feel it, and it's not something that you can measure. It's not something that you can document in the way that science likes to document. Not yet, anyway. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but you know, people can feel it, and I've had people listen to your experience, my experience, and they get upset because it shatters their paradigm that either there is no God, or that God is some mean, angry being.
Yeah.
And I love that it does that for some, because it's a way to activate, to kind of rattle their cage, and sometimes in rattling the cage, it opens it up the door,
Yeah.
and it lets them out.
Yeah, there's an awakening there. And I love what I just love how intuitive and in tune you are. Um, and thank you for sharing healing. I would have never. I had another little profound exchange with the divine when I was approached by a publisher to do the book. I had no intention of writing a book, but as I prayed over that, the answer came, and I was told, and I can quote what I was told because it's that voice that speaks to the heart. But I was told, share your experience, and others will heal. And so it wasn't about me. And I've
Yeah.
watched you do the same thing. I mean, I've been in rooms with you. I've got to sit and have breakfast with you, and
Yeah.
we've had conversations over the phone and on Zoom. But you hold a magnificent space for healing and for connection. And so I'm honored that you would see that in me. But maybe it's that namaste. Maybe it's that, wow.
Yeah, it's that
I
recognizing the
see
light in
you.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do.
I
And
love how after I shared kind of the little snippet of my experience with you at our first breakfast together, the first thing you thought of was, well, what can I do for you? And that's like that's Jeff Olsen right there. It's this beacon of light who's, you know, channeling heaven through his actions, through his energy. And the great thing is you're not even trying to; it just comes natural. So
well, when we try, we fail. I mean,
we do, right?
what was it?
Because then it
There is
becomes
no-
artificial, right?
Yeah, but thank you, Vinny. You're so honoring, and I feel the same about you. And yet we're just us. You know, we're just authentic beings. And I've made plenty of bad decisions that didn't work, and I've made a lot of good ones that did work. And I guess the beauty is we know the difference. If we're here to learn, I've certainly learned what works and what doesn't work, and what to embrace and what to let go of.
Yeah, I've really identified that as long as I'm learning, even if I'm making a mistake, as long as I'm learning, I'm going in the right direction, you know?
Yeah.
It's when you're making that mistake and you're not learning, that could be a little bit of a cycle or an issue.
Yeah.
But, you know, Jeff, I also love your kind of your cowboy history too. That
Oh, yeah.
cowboy heritage that's part of you. That's where I come. My dad's family is all you know, farmers and cowboys, and my grandfather was a horse whisperer. So he
Mm,
was one of the ones that took tore a page out of the Cherokee handbook, and he would do it more of the, not all the time, but more of the unity with the animal.
yeah.
Wow, this is really awesome. I love that we get to have you on this channel, because I go back, it was probably, I'd say 10 or 12 years ago. I somehow caught an interview you did, or it might have been a little snippet somewhere.
Hmm.
And then I looked you up, and you had another video. So I watched that one, which was your full experience. And you and Scott Drummond and quite a few others, it just helped me feel confident that I could do this too. I had Louise Hay approach me
Yeah.
at a little conference I was at here in Vegas and where I live, and many years ago. I think it was like 15 years ago or so, maybe close to 20 now. Um, and she said, write your book, I'll publish it. And that was daunting. And it wasn't daunting the work. It was daunting in, I have a hard time accepting this happened to me. How am I going to accept that the world accepts this happened to me? But it was hearing your experience, hearing Scott's, hearing so many others, especially through ions. That was an answer to a prayer in itself, is finding ions and realizing it wasn't just a bunch of doctors studying some rats who died.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually such a neat organization, and I'm so grateful to them. But it gave me the loving encouragement to step into my experience and share it for what it's worth. It's not. I'm like you. I just share it, and if it helps you, awesome. If it doesn't, awesome. I feel like there's times where we share things only to be planted in our soul, only later to find out that we needed that. I had a gentleman that right when I first published the book, he actually sought me out at Salt Lake City Ions, and he goes, I hate you. And I was like, what? And he goes, you're the one who just did the book, and you're on the radio, and I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I think this is all flim flam. And here he is at Ions. Like,
Well, he was coming.
really?
Yeah.
You're
Coming
at the
to it.
conference for this. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I said, well, I respect you. I respect that you have that opinion, and I don't want to change it in any way. I want to honor who you are and your beliefs. And that caught him off guard. I think he wanted to debate or have a little battle. Well, what's funny is I gave him my cell phone number, and I don't know why I did. I think God kind of helped me, nudged me on that one. And so we started a little text train for a little bit, and it wasn't but 6 months later he lost his wife.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and just as I heard about it, he didn't text me. I heard about it secondhand. I made sure he had a book, and it was maybe about another 3 months after that he sought me out and said, you know what, I needed to hate your experience to know that I needed it. And that's what this is all about, is we're sharing them because we need to remember who we are. We need to remember who we are, and in this dense world here on earth, we forget where our souls came from. And it's hard. It is hard, but there is this magic movie screen that can help us, and it is the I Magi Nation. It's the imagination that helps you remember that you come of the Magi. You come from the magic realm. And yeah. So
I
thank
love
you,
that.
Jeff.
Well, thank you. I love that. I love that, the magi and what that all means. And yeah, there's no agenda in sharing unless
No.
it supports or heals people in some way. But yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And we came from perfection. I mean, it's so funny, we came from absolute perfection. We arrive in this realm, and it's almost like we experience what we're not. We
Mm-hmm.
might more fully embrace what and who we truly are. And yet we wouldn't know without the other. We don't know light unless we experience darkness. And it's not that darkness is bad. They define each other. And that's the whole magic of this experience here, is we will get all of it. We bought the ticket to the full feature film. We're going to
We
get
did.
the popcorn and the drink and the candy, but we might get sticky floor and gum under the seat too. We're going to have all of it. And
Oh yeah. We get the whole experience.
yeah, in the end, that's the beauty. It's like, wow, okay, it's all love. It's all love, because now I know. Now I know.
I am truly touched. Jeff, your story is going to stay with me, and I look forward to what that lesson will teach me as I keep thinking about your story. So thank you so much for sharing it with us, for gifting it to our audience. And okay, so one question I do have. Part of your story, you said that you handed your baby back to God. And I won't take too much time in explaining this, but I actually had a very visceral experience where I was really struggling in my healing journey. And there was a moment where I literally visioned myself taking infant me from my parents so that I could raise her, so that I could take care of her and kind of right wrongs that, that I felt needed to be done. And in that, I started thinking like, wow, I'm 35 years old. Like, I can't take 30 years to raise this baby, right? And the baby was with me for a long time. And it was part of me sorting out some stuff I was going in my marriage and really sitting like, if I am me today because of my childhood and things I went through as a teenager, like I need to, fix those. But I recognize like I cannot spend 30 years doing this, right? So I just want to recognize, I guess, that part where, you said that you got to hand your baby back to God and it was your will, it was your choice to do that. Man, I recognize that in my healing journey that I took that baby and I literally, because I can't take 30 years. I got a family, right? Like I've got to spend time with my kids that I, signed up for. So I handed my baby back to God, and you like spoke truth that is what I did. You validated to me that is what I did. And that's how I found healing. Um, how have you found solace in that? I don't even know if solace is the right word, but
It's a beautiful word, solace, which is what, like peace, like grounding, like yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, this inner child work. I mean, here I am holding my boy, and Vinny said it. You were holding your boy, and God was holding His boy. And for me, the reality that inner child, that perfect little eternal being, which now has gray hair and might do this thing, but embracing the perfection of the child. I mean, even masters have said, become as a child, be as a child, because that innocence and that beauty. And here's the eternal power of what I experienced in that scenario, and what you're sharing actually is that nothing that you've ever done and nothing that's been done to you can change the fact that you are a perfect, divine, eternal being. There are things that happened, but it does not change the fact and the nature of who we truly are. And that is divine, and that is perfection, and it's all of it. Even in our uniqueness, we are the light. And, masters teach that. I mean, take Jesus, for example. Oh, the light of the world. He's like, no, 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 you're the light of the world. Don't hide. Let it shine. Let that inner child manifest. Let that little being come out. I recently was taught that the word enthusiasm is to release the God from within, and perhaps that little child within, the one that trusts, that is kind, that forgives, that I mean, I watch little ones, and when you told us, well, I'm with my 3-year-old today, I thought, oh, lucky you! What a perfect little age, because what a representation of who we truly are before we forget. I've wondered if the fall of man, there's these things that I learned in my upbringing, was when we just simply decided that we weren't divine, when we simply decided we weren't that beautiful, perfect, beloved, cherished child. And maybe that's all a figment of our imagination.
wow. Yes, thank you. Thank you for saying all of that. And I am lucky to be home with my 3-year-old that reminds me that, be more authentic, be more like a 3-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're perfect. They really are, And
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny when we went on our Easter vacation, when Griffin, my son who passed, he was a toddler. He was just learning to walk. He was just saying a few words. And, we were hunting for the Easter eggs, and he was in the garden, and he would go find one, and he'd walk a few steps, and he'd fall down, and he'd crawl, and he's slobbering, and he'd hold it up, and he could only say a few words. He'd say, "Dad, ball," and it wasn't a ball, it was an egg, and he's slobbering, and he bumped his head. And when I was holding him in the arms of God, and feeling his perfection and our perfection, I thought, that's how it is. We're toddlers down here slobbering and running into each other and calling eggs balls, but the entire universe just says, look at my children. They're learning to walk. They're taking their steps. We're so cherished. We're so loved. And if we could hold on to that and be like those 3-year-olds, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah.
Reminded of something that I recently saw, that life is strange, and that the point of the game is to figure out the point of the game.
Oh, wow. Life is strange. Yeah. And it feels like a game sometimes, and yet it doesn't when you're in it. You guys know this. When you're in it, it's wow, this is not an illusion. It feels like reality, and it's challenging and difficult.
And I've really been feeling the weight of that. Honestly, last week was a really hard week for that, for me. And in preparation for today, I've actually been kind of putting myself in this space to make sure that I was in a good place when we got here. But what this has really reminded me of, because I've heard your story before, but hearing it today was like hearing it for the first time again, because I was able to once again be immersed in that love energy that you share when you share that story. And what it reminds me of is how important it is to have ways to immerse yourself in that. I mean, kind of like, and the thought that comes to mind is it's like taking a shower or taking a bath. It's something that's good to do regularly, because you need to get refreshed. You need to clean all that off. And that's what this has done for me, experiencing this with you. And that's what we try to do with Living God's Light, is create an environment and condition and things that help people to get that kind of that spirit bath, to help energize and refresh and renew and help you through this challenge that is life. Because it's a learning, it's a growing experience. I like to use the analogy of lifting weights. It's that resistance that makes you stronger, and life is full of it. And it's a weird dichotomy, knowing that you can't really mess anything up, but while you're in it, you can feel like you're messing things up, and you can feel like a failure, and you're like, oh, I wish this went better. But getting reminded that no, it's okay. As long as you're learning, you're doing fine. There's a story I need to share. I won't share it today, but I'll share it at some point, where I had that experience of being wrapped in God's love and realizing, and it had to do with one of my kids. But it's good to be reminded, and it's good to be in that environment to help recharge those batteries and clarify that perspective. So thank you.
Oh, I love that. And we need to take those showers often. And I find mine, and I've had beautiful friends around me to teach me this, but I find it in nature. It's like, go let Mama Earth hold you. And to me, it is a feminine energy. It's like, there's the masculine and the feminine, but wow, sometimes I'll just go lay on the grass or lay on the rocks, and it's like, okay, Mama, hold me, and just take it away. Take it away. You know how to transform it. You know how to transpose it. And it literally feels that way. Like, okay, that stress or that thing, it's like the earth just takes it, transforms it to light and wisdom, and there's love. But yeah, to do that, because life does bring challenges, and whatever modalities work to bring us into that divine, do that. We're not all the same. What I do may not work for other people, but find what works for you. And when that brings you to that place, then be in that place. And gosh, I was reading this was a Crazy Horse. This was the indigenous elder, and he said something to the effect of, "I see the light in your eyes, which represents the entire universe." And when you are at that place, and I'm within that center in me, then we can be as one. And so whatever it is that brings the light and brings us into that place and we can connect, that is heaven. Then heaven's right here. There's nowhere to go or be. It's just to literally, well, what was the great prayer? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We're so worried about getting to heaven or what happens when we leave our body. It's like, what about being in the body? Having the physical experience. That's why we came, and being here on earth, our home. And it's profound, but I love what you're sharing about just whatever shower you want to take that works for you. Do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gift to have you with us on the Living God's Light podcast. It's been just a gift to us, a gift to the world to have you here. And if there was something that you'd want to leave with our audience and your audience, what would you want to leave with them today?
Well, gratitude. Thank you, for having me. It's an honor to be on the podcast, and I love you and I love your team. And if I could leave that with, something with viewers, lean into love. Just ask, what would love do, and be that, and watch what happens around you.
One last question for you.
Okay.
As a guest on the Living God's Light podcast, we love to leave our guests with the question, how is Jeff living God's light today?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. How am I living God's light? By being love, by being generous, by being kind, by forgiving, and by forgiving myself and being kind and loving to myself. Love your neighbor as yourself. And if I can love myself, it does expand my ability to love my neighbor.
Wow. Thank you
That is
so
awesome.
much. Yeah.
Jeff, thank you again. This has been exactly what I needed this week. I had some health stuff this week, so it's like I love that last sentiment there, though, that you put in, that we have to figure out how to make this heaven and choose a moment, make that heaven for now, and then find another moment and build upon that. So thank you so much for being a part of our team today.
Such an honor. I love you guys. Thank you for spending time with me and for just being so kind and good and generous with your time. Very much appreciated.